Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. We're going to be covering Spark's latest release, 7.9, and we've got folks kind of streaming in here, so we'll give it just a minute or two and start probably just a minute or two past the hour. All right, stream of folks coming in seems to have slowed, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Tanner Brushwine, and we are going to be covering Spark's latest release, 7.9. Before we really dive into too much, just want to call out a few things. We're changing up the process just a little bit today. As you'll notice, we're diving right into Spark rather than starting with a PowerPoint. Also, we are going to be including a survey at the end of the webinar. Should be just a minute or two to fill it out. So if you wouldn't mind filling that out, we would appreciate it to let you know what you'd like us to change about these webinars, what you like, what you don't like. We also won't be going over every single line item that we've included in the release notes. So what I want to call out is that you always do have access to those release notes in the little question mark, top right, release notes, and you can go in and review everything in detail. We'll cover a few of the larger changes, but if you did want to look through everything that's changed, everything that's been fixed, we'd encourage you to check that out in our release notes. If you did not get an email with those release notes, we'll want to remind you that you can subscribe to updates from Spark. You can always do that by clicking this little picture of yourself if you've included one, my profile and settings. We'll call it that these pictures are internal. So if your colleagues upload a ridiculous picture of you, it will not be shared with any applicants, unless of course you're hosting a webinar. Where we'll want to go is notifications, and at the top you can opt in to receive updates from Spark, or you can opt out if we're getting too many emails. This is how you would manage your subscriptions there. And if you opt in, you can pick exactly which categories of updates you'd like to see and which ones would not be as valuable. So with that, we're going to jump in to what has changed in Spark. So I'm going to cover three relatively minor items before we jump in to the two really big things that we want to show you today. The two larger things that we're going to show are going to be a new applicant experience, which you may or may not have seen in some videos that we've been sharing over the past couple of months. We're really excited about that. We also have an updated package summary. When you access a package for the first time, we've updated exactly what you're going to see, and hopefully it provides a little more value so you can understand exactly what you're looking at the first time that you're logging into a package. So starting with three kind of minor things I want to call out, all great suggestions that have come from our customers. So just another reminder, if you have suggestions on how we could be doing things better, we'd always love to hear them. Send them to your customer success manager to support, or send them to me. So here's a preview of our package summary. We'll get to this in earnest in just a bit, but did want to call out one request relating to KVERS checks. Previously, we were including limited guarantors as we were treating them the same from a KVERS perspective as a full guarantor, as someone that we would be requiring you to document a KVERS check. Limited guarantors are now going to be included in this other entities section. That would be Kendall. Here's our limited guarantor, along with key employee Rebecca, and then an affiliate business, none of which we are required to document our KVERS results, but we'll never stop you from pulling those. It's completely optional. Another suggestion was related to package activity. And in Spark, we do have the concept of system notes that are going to be automatically created when certain specific events are happening. And previously, we were not creating those notes automatically when we were withdrawing, declining, or restoring a package. So I went ahead and did that previous to this call. We can see that we have an automated note about the package that was withdrawn. We can see who withdrew it. And then when it was restored, we can see also who did that. So there's no confusion if we are withdrawing, declining, or restoring a package. Last thing I want to mention actually takes us to configuration. Not very often we visit configuration in a webinar. So this is only going to be available for those users that do have access to configuration. But we do have, want to remind you that we do have the concept of a report that allows us to see which users have which roles. So we've always had that in Spark, but previously it was the report would come through as a PDF. We've updated that to be an Excel file, so it's just a little bit more usable, particularly around some compliance issues. If somebody wants to ask, I want to see every active user that has the ability to act as a closer. That's something that would have taken just a little bit of time previously, now takes essentially no time at all, and we can filter and see exactly which users are active and have access to that role. So again, some great ideas. If you do have ideas like that, please share them. So with that, I want to jump into really the larger changes that we've made in this release. The first is going to be what we're calling an updated applicant experience. Previous to today, previous to Saturday, I guess, is when we're actually going through with the release. The only way that our applicants could interact or provide information to Spark prior to being invited in would be through something that a lead form that we have today. And so if your organization does not make use of the lead form and you're not sure what I'm talking about there, don't worry about it. But if you are using a lead form, anything that I touch on today, I just want you to know that nothing is being changed today in that process. This, as of Monday, when you log in, anything to do with lead forms as they exist today, that will remain unchanged. This is simply a new way to have our applicants get into Spark. And so what we've done is provided a tool where we can have numerous different of these new lead forms, or automated lead forms as we're calling them, where we can have a specific URL for any individual that we would like to, that we would want to make specific to any sales users. We could also have it be just one generic lead form, but we do have the ability to have specific URLs for each users. So we can make that custom, and I'm going to navigate now to an applicant experience that is specific to me, and I would provide that URL and could be specific to my applicants. So when they work through this process, I'm going to get that notification. It's going to show up in my dashboard, and it makes it really easy to keep my information mine. Now, we can always make it more generic, and we can customize that depending on whatever process your organization, however you'd like to include this new feature. But what I've got set up is this is going to be specific to me. So on our landing page, obviously we can customize this content. I found out that we could even include a GIF, not necessarily recommending that, but thought it was fun to call out. We can also have any kind of privacy policy or anything that compliance or legal is going to request that we put into this experience for those users that are going to be touching Spark here for the first time. So I'm going to move through this process relatively quickly because the questions that we're asking should be questions that are relatively straightforward. How much is the loan? What are you looking to use the money for? Just a quick business name. Oops. We'll just keep this simple so you don't have to watch me type. In today's lead form, what we don't have the ability to do is verify an email address like we can in Spark. That is now changed, so we can make sure that we do have a verified email address. And as I'm going through these, keep in mind that you're not required to answer every single one of these questions. Or excuse me, not required to include every one of these questions on any new applicant experience that you would opt into for your organization. And so as soon as we are finished with this webinar, you will be getting an email from your customer success manager. Someone at your organization will essentially providing next steps, and we'll make sure that we want to allow you to go through this on your own. So you'll be getting a link to click through this process and see all of these questions that we can ask. Looks like we've got a hand up, but I don't see any questions in just yet. So we will, I'll pause here right as after can I create custom questions? Yeah, Rob, that's a great question. Today, we are not able to create custom questions. However, I'm going to talk to that point in just a minute. So Rob, you'll see in just a second here. And Aaron, yeah, you want to go ahead with the question? All right, while we're waiting for that, I'll keep going through. Obviously, we can customize this certification to whatever you would like. And then once we submit this new lead, I want to point out that sure. So I think questions from Tim. So this is going to be recorded. We're also going to send out a link so you can actually click through these questions on your own and know that these are going to be, you can opt in or opt out to any of these questions. So the thing that I want to stress here is that we now have the ability to allow you to have customers opt into creating an account without being invited in. So as long as they have access to this URL, have access to this process, they can opt in and create Spark credentials without having to be invited in. So if I pull up my email address, and confirm that, it then allows me to log in the exact same fashion as a user that's invited today. And so what we had set up is an information request that is ready to go because we set this applicant experience to be customized for a 7A loan. It doesn't necessarily has to be a 7A loan, but we can have this set up for any product. But this one, we've got a 7A loan. You've already seen information requests. Everyone on this call should be familiar with those. So I'm not going to work through this entire information request, but I want to call out that while we can't have custom questions on that initial applicant experience, there is the ability to ask just about anything inside of an information request. So while we maybe can't customize those original questions, what we can do is customize this information request that would go along with that applicant experience. So the idea is that from the time I give someone access to that URL, to that applicant experience, I can have anything, any information and documentation requested to that applicant that we have today inside of an information request. So they can review the use of funds. They can add additional uses of funds if they would like, or we can just leave it as is. And then the thing that I'm really excited about with this is that we can continue to build the ownership. And so if I indicate that I'm a 20% user and that the Spark knows that this is going to be an SBA 7A loan, which means that that second person, which I just a second ago did not know anything about, that first owner, that first person that we are working with, can then invite that second user into Spark without having anything done from the lender perspective. So again, I'm not going to work through this entire information request. That's not new. Everyone should be familiar with this. But the manner in which we can get our users into these information requests has changed, and it's just removed some friction in getting all of the information and documentation that we need in order to get the loan origination process started. All right. So with that, I am going to log back into Spark as an internal user and show the results of that new applicant experience and what we just clicked through. First thing I want to call out is that we now have the ability to create a leads dashboard. This is going to be very similar to an existing package or loan dashboard, but it's going to be specific to leads that have been created with that new applicant experience. So any new package or lead that is coming in from that applicant experience that I just walked through is going to be eligible to be shown on my leads dashboard. So because the applicant experience that I showed was specific to me, these have been assigned to me right away. Today, if you're working with leads, someone with the permission to manage those leads has to assign ownership manually. That's no longer the case if that user or that applicant is working in one of the new automated lead forms or that new applicant experience that has been assigned to a particular Spark user, in this case me. It's going to flow directly into my dashboard. I will also have received notifications for all of these. And if I click on any of these rows, I can get a quick summary. Using these ellipses, I can take these actions as long as I have the permissions to. I can see that preview panel, which I just showed. If I know that this is ready to move to the next stage, I can submit it to the next stage. I can reassign ownership if necessary, and then I can decline, withdraw, and delete as long as I have the correct permission to do that. It's not just going to be those leads. Any package that we've got in any of the tabular reports on any of these dashboards, we're going to be able to preview in that same manner. I'll call out that also that information request, as soon as it's submitted, I'm able to see that in my to-do panel. And so I can check in on any of those applicants that have been working through that new applicant experience. Where are they at in the process of these new information requests that may have been associated with this new applicant experience? If I then click into one of these loans, like we said, this package summary has now changed. And the intention here is that you can learn a little bit more at just a glance than in our previous package summary. We've included links to some of the most popular or some of the most used features in Spark, like documents, where I can navigate here directly. I'll also now have a to-do panel in the top right, very similar to on your dashboard, but this is going to be specific to this loan. If there are any tasks that are assigned to me in here, I can see that immediately. Once we start building out sources and uses, I can see that. We can see a project address. And one thing that's always been available in Spark, but maybe just not as immediately obvious that it was available, is we can generate views through Google Maps that we can then include. And so we can include a street view as well as an overhead view. Apparently this address didn't like it very much. But if you don't pick such a rural address like I did, you can see a street view. And this can be included in any credit summary, CAM, or credit memo as well. So you wouldn't have to copy and paste this out of Google yourself. Then we'll have the terms, businesses, individuals, all of these we can jump directly to those features as well as scoring. And I can start assigning team members as long as I have permission to do so. So those are the two main changes that are associated with this new release. This package summary, you're going to see that first thing when you log on Monday morning, or if you really want to see it, you can log in on Sunday morning as well, and it will be there. The change to the applicant experience is something that your organization would have to opt into. It's not going to be automatically on, but we are going to be proactively reaching out and asking, do you want to participate in this new feature? We will have a pre-built version with all of the questions that you can ask for in that applicant experience. And we'll be sending you a link so that you can actually click through those questions and see what it looks like and let us know, yes, I'm interested in this, or these are the questions that I would want to remove. It's extremely easy to configure. As we gauge interest in this feature, we can be informing any administrative users exactly how to configure those multiple versions, so we can have a different version for any of our different salespeople, pick those URLs, all of that information. So this is something that I'm personally really excited about, and it's something that I think can really make the process a lot easier, both for the sales teams as well as for the applicants. It's just removing some of that friction. One thing that I do want to call out is that this is geared for an applicant and not necessarily a referral partner or broker, but that is something that we are currently working on. It's in the design stage, and something that we really want to focus on making a premium experience for any referral partners or brokers that you're working with. In the survey that we're going to be that will be sent out at the conclusion of this call here shortly, we're going to ask if that's something that you're interested in providing feedback. We want to make sure that we offer the best possible experience to those users. We'd love to be connected with any of them. If you have any referral partners or brokers that you would like to allow us to get their feedback and get some information from, we would love to do that. So that'll be a part of the so that will be a part of the survey. So if a question, when a lead is submitted, a Spark admin assigns the lead to the loan officer serving the county that the business is located. So that's a good question, and essentially we can make it work however you would like it to. And so Kathy, I'm going to cover your question first. Depending on how you want it to work, we can essentially configure it to work the way that you want to. If you wanted to have separate URLs for your different counties or for your different loan officers, we could point users to those specific URLs, or you could have it work the way that it works today and have it go to Spark admin. So whatever you'd like to do. Yeah, great question, Leonid. We can add notes in the lead stage. You can essentially do anything that you can do today in a package, you can do in that lead stage. And I thought there was a question, but I think it would have been answered. Any other questions? Well, I will hold on for at least a minute or two if people do have questions. What types of questions are available? Sure, it's going to be largely questions about how much are you looking to borrow, who is going to be the business that's borrowing, where are they located, what industry are you in? But again, we will be sending out that full list of questions that can be asked. But I do want to stress that just because a question might not be available in that initial applicant experience, as long as we opt into automatically sending an information request, we can ask anything that's being asked in any information request today. Yeah, on how the automated lead form is different from the existing lead form generation. So there's going to be two major differences. One is the way that the new automated lead form looks and feels is it's going to be a different experience where it's going to be essentially one question per screen and hopefully just a little bit more of a frictionless experience. The second piece that I think is really important is that this allows your applicants to opt into creating credentials without your intervention, as long as they have access to that URL, to that applicant experience, they can create credentials on their own, and then they can start working through the information request that we've assigned with that applicant experience or with that product. So essentially they can opt into taking on the entire, or as much of the process as they would like on the front end without any intervention from a Spark user at any of our customers or at any of our lenders. How do we go about getting more training in Spark? That's a great question. I would say to reach out to your customer success manager, or you can reach out to me directly and I can connect you, and just would want to know a little bit more about what specifically we're talking about. So will or can this replace the existing form on our website? Yeah, it absolutely can. It's not going to be quite as customizable, but when paired with an information request, I'm confident that it could be just as customizable and likely a better experience for everyone involved. Is a lead quality suggestion added? I'm not sure I understand the question. If you're asking, will Spark auto assign a quality of a lead and try to intelligently say this is a good fit or if this is not a good fit, that's not something that will be added today. But if you have ideas on what you think that would look like, we'd love to hear that. As leads come in, can we have logic set up to auto assign? That's a great question. And that's something that we are working on and considering. And we'd want to hear some feedback about how do we like this applicant experience and know where we can improve it. When what we really wanted to do is make this available, give your applicants the ability to opt in, create their own credentials. And we'd want to hear more from you, from our partners, at how can we further improve that? What would make it even easier to get those users into the system? So if anyone has, once we opt into this and start seeing what the results are for your organizations, if you have suggestions on here's how we could make it even easier, we would definitely want to hear that feedback. And not to keep bringing up the survey, but that is one of the questions in the survey is, are you interested in participating in any of these design sessions where we are building these new features, asking our partners where we should go, how should we do all of these different things, what should they look like, what's going to add the most value? And so if you're interested in participating in some of those sessions, we would love to hear it, and just answer yes on that survey, and we will be reaching out. Any additional questions? All right, looks like questions have slowed down. Again, I'll always stay on an extra minute or two in case somebody comes up with something. But thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I don't have anything else, but we will be reaching out, and hopefully everyone is going to opt into this new applicant experience. We're really proud of it and excited to have people start using it.